สวัสดีค่ะ
Hello.
สวัสดีค่ะ on tobacco industry monitoring, identifying, deconstructing, and countering tobacco industry tactics in your country. I'm Varawan Jiratanapiwat, Tobacco Industry Denormalization Program Manager of SEDCA, or Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance. I will be the moderator for this symposium and will be one of the presentation for the session today. Before we start to listen to our resource person, allow me to give you a brief description of the symposium. The tobacco industry use very specific tactic target at the government, policy measure, or tobacco control groups to undermine or derail policy measure. This tactic need to be monitored and countered in a timely manner. Exposing the tobacco industry tactic in a timely manner can be helpful to government to protect and support policy. Often, an industry activity is only known after the fact when it is done and it is too late. Therefore, it is warranted that tobacco industry activity must be monitored regularly in a more targeted manner, and this information must be disseminated in a timely manner. A tobacco industry monitoring or team network has been established in the ASEAN region with the capacity to monitor, generate, and use evidence to support policymakers to counter the tobacco industry lobbying tactic and protect public health policy from this interference. It is envisioned that a national team mechanism will be strengthened in each participating country, linked to wider regional team network initially created by SEDCA and tobacco control partner. The session today consists of 3 presentations, walking the attendee through tools and approaches utilized for monitoring tobacco industry in ASEAN, including 1. Identify media resources, 2. Analyze tobacco industry tactics from monitor information, and 3. Work with national tobacco control network to counter tobacco industry tactics. We will start by my presentation with a focus on team mechanism and its utilization at the regional level. Then we will go to more country-specific detail from our resource person from Indonesia and Vietnam. After the 3 presentations, we will bring everyone to the discussion session. The list of questions has been prepared to get additional clarification from resource person, but attendee can also take this opportunity to ask questions to the resource person. Our last activity will be an online quiz, allowing attendees to check their understanding on teams. All right, so let me start by my presentation. I will share my screen. Please wait a moment. I think everybody see my screen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the confirmation. All right, so I already introduced myself, so I will go to the next slide. The outline of my presentation today will cover these 6 points, what data sources we use for the monitoring, how we arrange that monitoring data and evidence, how we frame the evidence to expose the problem and what is the problem actually, and how to use the team evidence, and what kind of policy objectives are being addressed, and the last one, who will use this report. In terms of the data sources to be used, on the regional basis, there are 4 countries that right now provide daily media monitoring. Those countries are Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand. You can also use this monitoring item that will be from the newspaper, both online and the print newspaper, to check the tobacco industry news that will be sent to you daily. And information from Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam will be available in English, while in Thailand it is available both in Thai and in English based on the original language of the press. The second bullet point is the report of the tobacco industry, that you can access the information from the industry annual report or its CSR, or what they call sustainability report. According to the monitoring system, we found that the big tobacco industry like PMI or BAT, they are providing at least 2 reports every year. The first one is the annual report, and the second one is the CSR activity that they can call sustainability report. And the next bullet point is the tobacco industry website, that from time to time they will publish or advertise the activity that the industry did in some country or in some area with some specific issue. For example, it can be the activity target the farmers in Pakistan or in some country. The next item that you can monitor is tobacco industry recipient or partner website, that sometimes the industry will not share the activity directly through their website, but it will be shared in the website or the social media platform like Facebook of the recipient or the partner organization. The next one is the research report that is conducted by the research institution or the think tank like Global Data or Citi. And the next item is the printed media that can be, and it also includes the online magazine. Why this is important? Because sometimes the print media will publish some activity or some news that will be different from the online media. For example, for me, I experienced to get a feel of the tobacco industry activity through the free magazine that available on Starbucks, at Starbucks. So at that time, I alert the magazine company and ask them to be more careful to publish this kind of news. And the last point, but it is quite important, is the internal intel that that you can get from the team network. It can be from the meeting, or it can be from the personal connection that you have with the policymakers or with the journalists, for example. And how we arrange this kind of data or evidence. As I said, I work at the regional level. So first, I need to identify the country. I put the activity in the same country together, and then I order it by date. And later, I categorize it by issue. This will be the important issue that the industry usually target to. It is education, community development, or disaster relief. And recently, you may include the COVID-19 pandemic as one of the issues. And this issue you can get from the tobacco industry itself, or from the daily media monitoring, or the tobacco control advocate that share the information to you. And let me give you the example of the CSR activity found in the Philippines. This is this photo taken and also shared on the social media platform of the government agency in the Philippines, that they receive the donate item. And I'm not sure if it also includes the money or not, but they got it from the tobacco industry and also the industry partner in the Philippines. When you take this kind of photo and also post it in the social media, it it is like the advertisement already for the industry to show that the industry has a good image and sincerely want to help the community or to support the industry or to support the government. And the next one, when you already have the information, when you already categorize the monitor item that you get, how you frame the evidence to expose the problem. First, you need to go through the information that you have and pick up the name that mentioned in the article. And later you identify the organization or the company that that person is working for. It can be a group of person, or it can be an individual people, or it can be the individual person. And you can further identify if those people are the tobacco industry representative or they are the recipient of the industry. And also we have the group called Tobacco Industry Front Group, and the tobacco industry spokesperson that also work on the industry side that you can further identify. How you can identify this group of people? In only one item, you cannot identify them, but when you gather a lot of information and when you go through that information one by one, you will see like, okay, this person appear a lot, and he or she usually talk to support the industry. So in this case, you may identify him or her as the tobacco industry representative or front group or the spokesperson. The next one, we can, by this monitor item, you can identify the issue that is important for the industry. And this is the reason why the industry need to fund the activity related to this issue. The very attractive issue for the industry always is related to the international trend. It can be the Sustainable Development Goal or human rights or labor rights or whatever that is a concern among the international community. The industry tries to engage itself with this international trend to say and to confirm that they are the very good industry, and they are like the honest, and they are very quality industry that are working in this field. And the next item is also important because it will serve the country need that will be vary from country to country. For example, the Philippines that usually suffer from the natural disaster. So the industry take this opportunity to provide some item or to donate money to the local community. And the last one that we found that the industry usually target the vulnerable people, especially youth and children, because these youth and children can be their future customer to replace the adult smoker that die a lot every year. And this slide will show you that when the industry try to say that their business is supportive to the SDG, actually it's not, because what they are doing to the people different from what the SDG principle want to do. So this can be the comprehensive explanation that you can show to the policymakers, and this kind of thing we got it from the monitoring every day that showing that what the industry is doing not supportive and will not align with the SDG principle at all. And the next one is you can take the information from the annual report itself, and you can compare between the profit of the industry and the expense that the industry spend to the CSR activity, and you will see a very big gap that every year industry gain a lot of profit, but they give a very small amount of money to the CSR activity. And the next item that you can look is the CEO income, which is very high, and that is why so what they try to say is they give a lot to the developing country or to the local community. Actually, it's not compared to the profit and also the income of the CEO. And at the same time, when they are trying to say that they try to stop smoking and focusing on the smoking cessation or promote smoke-free society, at the same time, the industry launched the new product regularly. So you can see this product launching from the newspaper or from the advertisement. It can be from the social media platform like the Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, whatever. You will see that the industry itself try to launch the new product with the attractive appearance that will be easily for the young people to buy and addict to the tobacco product. And the last one is the CSR and sustainable activity that you can further ask yourself and think about that if this CSR is actually really sustainable way, because the industry just give some item to the local community, and it will not be sustainable for the community to survive by that item for a long time. And the next one is the regarding the CSR activity, they try to promote the good image of the industry. You can see from this photo that the representative of the tobacco industry recipient take a photo together with the government, with the senior government officer like the health minister or like the police officer when they are giving the money or when they donate some item to them. So when the group of people or when the organization receive the donation or the money from the industry regularly, they can be the spokesperson of the industry. And with the government agency, actually to give the money to the government agency, it is considered tobacco industry interference that the government agency should be avoiding. And how to use this tobacco industry monitoring evidence. At least what you can do is you can gather the information and provide some regional report. For example, regarding the CSR activity in the ASEAN region, this is the CSR latest report on the CSR activity that is available on online, that you can go to the CSR website and download this report. So this kind of report will be, I will explain later how this report will be used. Right, who used this report? We need to ask this question every time when we prepare the report, because if we don't know who should be our audience, we will not provide a good report, because we will not know what kind of item that we should pick up and analyze. So for the monitoring network, what I would like to propose is you can target at least two groups of the people. The first one is the tobacco control advocate, that you can provide the regional level information to the policymakers and the public. So the tobacco control advocate can use this information to approach the policymakers. And also it will be helpful for them to use this monitor item and analysis to design the tobacco control campaign to counteract the tobacco industry, especially on the CSR activity. And the second group of the audience is the policymakers, that as the policymakers, they can see the progress of the other country in ASEAN, what happened in other country, and what else that they can do to develop or strengthen the tobacco control policy following the recommendation and the FCTC guideline. Finally, what the policy objectives are being addressed that using the monitor item monitoring system. Our general recommendation is partial restriction don't work. CSR activity by the tobacco industry should be prohibited by law. This is the lesson learned that we got from the monitor item that we have been picking up for several years continuously. And there are some countries that should follow this recommendation. And the second recommendation is the tobacco industry should be strictly prohibited from conducting any CSR activity that concerns children or the education system. This kind of activity found a lot in the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia, that the industry provide education support or the career support to the young people. And the third recommendation is government official and government department should reject grant from the industry and reject to be the partnership with the industry. And the last recommendation we gain from the monitor item is government agency and international institution and also organization should publicize their official position on non-partnership with the tobacco industry. This will not only alert the industry or only alert the public, but also alert the people working in that government agency or that institution to be aware, not to be in partnership with the tobacco industry. All right, I reached my last slide. And if you have any question, you can leave it in the chat box, I think, and the administrative, the APACT administrative team will pass that question to me. So the next presentation, let me introduce our next presenter, Mr. Muhammad Bigfanto, Assistant Professor of Faculty of Health Science, Universitat Muhammadiyah, Professor Dr. Hamka, and Mr. Muhammad Bigfanto, also the Assistant Coordinator for Indonesia for Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance. He is a researcher and tobacco control advocate in the Faculty of Health Science at the UHA, MKA, and SIATKA, Indonesia. He started his professional career as a public health researcher and advocate in 2015 after receiving his master's degree in healthcare management from Mahidol University, Thailand, with a scholarship from the Indonesia Endowment Fund for Education. He published several articles on tobacco control and was often involved in media advocacy for tobacco control. His research interest is mainly about tobacco industry interference and the novel tobacco products like ENS and HTP in Indonesia. He is now doing his PhD degree on social psychology at Edward Lorenz University of Budapest. Mr. Muhammad Bigfanto, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nok, for your introductions. I think I need your help to share my screen, if you could. Okay, hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning here from Budapest. It's been my honor to meet all of you here in this symposium. My name is Bigfanto from Indonesia and currently serve as Assistant Coordinator for SIATKA in Indonesia. All right, as you might already know from my colleagues' presentations, from Warawan's presentations in the beginning, one of the SIATKA's activities in Indonesia is also about monitoring the tobacco industry. So in these presentations, I will briefly explain about our monitoring activities, including maybe what data sources we use in our monitoring activities, and also some simple tips and tricks for you for searching the information about the industry, and also how we arrange our data or evidence, and how we use our monitoring findings for at least triggering change in terms of the policy, even though most of the time the change happen only at the bottom level, especially in Indonesia when, you know, it's quite hard to change the policy on tobacco control. But at least we should try to do something and to some extent change the situations. Please, next. All right, the first, about the data sources. Actually, we can categorize our data sources into two categories. The first is online sources, and the second is offline sources. So these two data sources actually has different characteristics. For example, When we talk about online sources, it's often relied on our technical skill to investigate rather than your relation skill. But you have to also be careful because some sources on the online sources are not reliable. So we need to check the validity and check whether this is true data or true information or not. And these online sources, including the media monitoring and also tobacco industry website, as Nok also mentioned before, we can also see the annual report on the tobacco industry, and also including the front groups websites, because the front group website also sometimes provide you good information on the intelligent information when you want to countering the tobacco industry. And also you can use search engine, of course, like a Google or Yahoo, and also you can visit the organizational websites such as Tobacco Industry Monitor from SIATKA, and also Tobacco Tactics website from the University of Bath. They provide a lot of information regarding tobacco industry interference. So you don't have to dig the information by yourself. We did analyze for you, and we put some information in the website. And the second is the offline sources. On the other hand, these sources relied more on human relations, skill, and trust. I can say that. Because some information sometimes were gained privately, sometimes of the record and direct approach from the insider. So actually your trusty network is also important for you to monitor the industry. Yeah, so this trusty network, this can be your government officials or our NGO network. So this is the offline sources. Next, please. Okay, so talking about online sources from the industry website or the front group website, this is the example. I might share with you the simple tips and tricks that might help you to search the information. For example, the first, you can use search feature available on the website. When the website had the feature, usually the feature located in the top right to top right corner of the site, as you can see. So you can just type whatever the word you want to find. For example, this is the example from Vaping Company Association Group in Indonesia. For example, you want to find the relation between this group with the tobacco industry, especially Sampurna, Philip Morris in Indonesia. So you can just type Sampurna, for example, in the search feature. So just click now. And then finally, please click now, next. Okay, finally you can get the information you need. So, and now we knew then, and we can get the conclusion that this group has been funded by tobacco industry. Okay, that's the first. The second, the second tip is to never satisfied with what you saw on the website survey. Sometimes the information you're looking for is been hidden. For example, you find the sentence like, for more information, blah, 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 just click. So don't hesitate to dig the information and click the link. And finally, you will find the same tobacco industry is funding this organization which is related to vaping front groups to promote e-cigarette use. So now you understand that most of the front groups that supporting e-cigarette in Indonesia is also funded by tobacco industry. The same information also been shared in the previous presentation by our presenters in the plenary. So this is some simple tricks and tips for you to search the information on tobacco industry websites or their phone groups. Next, please. Okay, as not mentioned before, some countries are lucky enough to have media monitoring report daily, including Indonesia. So this report usually provided by the professional media agency. But if your country is not one of those countries that has the services from the agency, you can also visit the websites such as Tobacco Industry Monitor from SIATKA and also Tobacco Tactics from the University of Bath. So these websites provided detailed information on tobacco industry activities, including the interference in the regional and country level. So this makes us easier to find the information about tobacco industry and their phone groups. And I use a lot of this website to find the information, especially regarding the front groups and how the tobacco industry use the third party to influence the policy, especially on the e-cigarette or STP issue. Next, please. Okay, the next slide it's about how to arranging your data or evidence. So this is just the example how we categorize the tobacco industry issue in Indonesia. And as you can see from the pie chart, the tobacco tax and e-cigarette issue are the most prominent issue in 2019. So this is the data from 2019. And from this data, we now understand that the importance of tax and e-cigarette issue for the industry. They perceive the tax measurement is the real threat to their profit, I think. And also they believe maybe the e-cigarette or HTE is their future product which must be protected and also ensured to make it easier to sell. So this is kind of, you know, a wake-up call for TC advocates. When you know the data, you understand that the importance of the issue, so you need to do something. So this is one of the examples how we can arrange our data from our monitoring activities. Besides categorizing them by issue, actually, you can also identify the message and the persons of, or the organization that deliver the message. Also, has mentioned in the previous presentations. So this morning we heard the presentation from Simon Chapman about the myths on the e-cigarette that has been delivered massively in the media. And actually, the same message also been sent in Indonesia, and exactly the same. For example, 95% safer than conventional cigarette, and also the nicotine that harmless, something like that. So we can see the patterns, and we can see how the industry, you know, like trying to influence the public opinion and also the policymakers' opinions. Okay. Next. Okay, besides categorizing by issue, you can also arrange your data like this and see whether the counter message has been sent in the media by TC advocates. This is just to ensure we don't miss any message to counter in the media. Even though it's quite hard because, you know, the industry has a lot of the resources, but, you know, at least we can try to alert our TC advocates to do countering when it's necessary to counter the issue. Okay, next. The next is actually how to use the monitoring findings. Actually, monitoring is not the only activity that we need in order to counter the industry. Sometimes we need to investigate, dig deeper, doing a simple research. It's also important for you, and also exchange knowledge between advocates. This is I think that the most important is exchange your knowledge within your TC advocates. And the output of these activities usually in form of the reports, or maybe policy briefs, or maybe presentations, or maybe alert, some kind of alert, etc., etc. So these output, when reach the specific audience, such as maybe media, so your audience can be, you know, varies from the media, or maybe a politician, or maybe public figure, and hopefully, you know, the output can drive action and initiate change in terms of the policy and decision making, and more importantly, is expose and counter the tobacco industry tactics. Okay, next. Okay, but this previous logic model of change actually will never happen when we don't have a team to work on it, the team that actively countering tobacco industry tactics. So this is the example from our experience on how we counter the tobacco industry sponsorship on the national event called Indonesia Millennium Summit in 2020. So actually in early 2020, tobacco industry monitoring team received direct call from our colleagues, which inform us that there is a prestigious event called Indonesia Millennium Summit 2020 that invited huge amount of public figure, but this event sponsored by tobacco industry. Actually, the sponsor itself is not appear in the website, so we're not aware because there is no information on the tobacco sponsorship on the website, but they appear on the social media platform. So this kind of tactics, actually the industry try to obscure their involvement, trying to trick the invited speakers. So we decided to form an instant action, the kind of rapid response team, just for this event. This is like informant team to contact every speakers that we knew to withdraw from the event. Okay, next slide. Okay, that time we start with doing our own investigations, as I mentioned before. Next slide, please, Nok. We discovered that the tobacco industry not appear in the website, but they very massive in their social media. So this is might be a tricky for many speakers. So we assume that a lot of speakers doesn't know that the event has been sponsored by the tobacco industry. So we listed all speakers and do mapping, so we can get who is the potential speakers to approach, because they have a lot of speakers and most of them actually public figure. And we dig the information on the speaker's profile. So you need to profiling the speakers, the one that you want to approach. And also tailoring message and argument for each targeted speakers, because each speakers might have like a different interest, so you need to tailoring your message. And also we alert our TC networks about this event. And finally, after sending kind of 18 identified speakers, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot, but actually we get quite good result that time. Next slide, please. Finally, tobacco industry sponsor what expose, and especially to invited speakers. We also discovered that many speakers doesn't know, as we assumed before, that the event was sponsored by the tobacco industry. So we exposed the industry involvement in the event. And the event organizer finally deleted Jarum Super name or the industry name and logo in their social media campaign. And other exciting result actually, from 18 speakers we were approached, 8 of them gave positive responses, but too late to cancel, as we understand as well as sometimes the industry trying to push the speakers to give the confirmations before. And the 3 prominent speakers, including Mayor of Bogor City and Special Staff of President, finally withdraw from the event. That's a good news that we got that time. Next slide, please. The other case I want to share is about overclaim by harm reduction group, or the e-cigarette front groups. That time we got the information from our informant that the logo of Indonesian Pharmacy Associations apparently appear in the Tariff-Free Coalition website. So this website managed by the tobacco industry front groups, especially on e-cigarette front groups, and claim as their member. So we contacted the president of the organization, the Indonesian Pharmacists Associations, and the president says, he never given permissions nor declare joining Tariff-Free coalitions. And the president sent a protest letter, and soon after the name was deleted from the website. So this kind of, counter regarding the tobacco industry interference is also important to change the situations, because when you see the organization name in the websites, public might perceive that this organization also supporting e-cigarette. So this can be deceiving the public opinion. Next, please. Yeah, this is the example of the appearance before and after. As you can see, before you can see a 3 logo on the website, but after we complain, finally they removed the logo from the website. Next, please. Okay, this is the last slide. The conclusion is actually to be more effective and efficient, advocacy and campaign strategy, I think, must match with the intelligent information provided. So this is the importance of tobacco industry monitoring. And we actually recommend countries to establish their own monitoring and rapid response team, and engage, of course, with all stakeholders in tobacco control. And next slide, please. I think the final presentation from me. Thanks all. I hope it's helpful. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much. Keep to you, Meg. No.
Thank you so much, Big Fanto, for the comprehensive presentation. So right now we reach our last presentation from Vietnam. From the previous two presentations, you will see that at the regional level, we have some system to categorize our monitor item, and also we have a specific example and work from Indonesia. Right now, we will hear from our resource person from Vietnam. She is Ms. Le Thị Thu, who is the program manager of Tobacco Control and Non-Communicable Disease Program for Health Bridge Foundation of Canada, Vietnam office. To has started with tobacco control and other NCD risk factor prevention since 2000. Conducting quantitative and qualitative research, serving for academic and policy orientation are her strengths. Some of the researchers, among others, that too is the principal investigator and or co-investigator, are direct and indirect of 5 smoking-related diseases in Vietnam: tobacco use and poverty, impact of tobacco tax on government revenue, tobacco consumption, and prevalence of smoking, and opportunity cost of tobacco use in Vietnam. Working with media and advocacy for policy change in the area of tobacco and alcohol control are two focus of work during these last 20 years. Particularly, she has involved in tobacco industry monitoring work for years under CSGA support. Tu will present the team mechanism and situation in Vietnam. Tu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nok, for introducing me. So I will share the screen. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone from Vietnam. My name is Thu. I'm the program manager for Health Bridge Foundation of Canada, and I'm in charge of the tobacco control and non-communicable disease prevention program for Health Bridge, and also I'm the program manager for the Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance funded project on tobacco control policy support in Vietnam. Thank you very much for inviting me for join this symposium and to share the experience from Vietnam on how we conduct the tobacco industry monitoring and how we collaborate with each other in order to expose and counter the interference. And as you already know that WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco recognized the parties need to be alert to any efforts by the tobacco industry to undermine and subvert tobacco control efforts, and also the need to be informed of this activity. And therefore, the Article 5.3 of the Convention requires that in setting and implementing their public health policy with respect to tobacco control, the parties are act to protect this policy from commercial and also other vested interests from tobacco industry in accordance with the national law. So in this light, Health Bridge, under the support from CSGA, has been starting to conduct the tobacco industry monitoring for years. So my presentation today will be focused on how tobacco industry monitoring is conducted in Vietnam. So focus much on what data source we use and how we arrange the data and evidence, and also what the issue we found in Vietnam and what we do, and finally some conclusion and recommendation from Health Bridge. So in terms of the data source we use, as you also have heard from Nok and also from Big. So from Earth here, we also collect the data from various sources. So first one, that is the daily media surveillance. And this is conducted from 56 most exposed online and printed newspaper. And the second sources, that is the frequent check with tobacco industry and government website. And I think that is really important because for the industry and also the government office who be in charge of the tobacco industry, they usually publish some of the activity related to the tobaccos, and also as well as also fund group, as Vic also mentioned in his presentation, that this is also the very important source that we should utilize. And the third one, that is the Google search with the keywords. And of course, for Vietnam, we use diversified keywords in order to search this information. And intelligent hearing, that is another aspect, but I think it is really helpful and very useful in terms of the collecting information that is rarely reflected in the newspaper or in the website, but we can hear through our collaboration with the government partners and government agency. We heard a lot of interesting things there. And also the other sources that we can collect the information, as also Vic already mentioned and also not mentioned, that is from the published reports and also from the current, two very popular websites for publish the tobacco industry interference. That is from CIRCA and also from the STOP project. And I believe that this is also very useful information for you, to gather information from the internationally and regional. So in terms of how we arrange the data and evidence, so currently we have two databases. So the first database is the media surveillance database. So for this one, through media surveillance, we review, we classify and record the article in the database by date, name of newspaper, headline, authors, type of newspaper, tobacco issue. And here, tobacco issue, we classify it by tobacco and health, tobacco tax and price, smoke-free, smuggling and illicit trade, CSR, packaging, labeling, new tobacco product, and others issue. And also we classify it by whether that the article is positive or negative to tobacco control. And for the second database, that is tobacco industry monitoring database. So as a result from reviewing, analyzing media surveillance on Google search, website check, intelligent hearing, and from other sources as well, the tactics and interference are detected and recorded by this and name of the company or organization or individual and type of the tactic and interference we found in this database. So in terms of what the issue we found in the country, so I think that is really important things. So we found the tactics and also interference use of the industry in Vietnam quite similar with others found in other countries as well, and which also found and documented by World Health Organization in its recent publication. So it includes the collaborating and supporting government agency, providing support for generating the evidence, publishing pro-industry article in media, and funding study tool for policymakers, and providing recommendation and using fund group to uphold the tobacco control measure, and also conducting the so-called corporate social responsibility or philanthropy activities. So for the tobacco industry in collaboration with the government agencies and other organizations, such as the association and the media agency, so they organize with this in order to organize the workshop or to have the participation of the tobacco industry as a resource speaker, and aiming to provide the recommendation which favor the industry interest in the policy development and implementation. And you can see in this slide the first photos, that is the photos of the workshop organized by the standard body, of which having the participation of 3 big transnational tobacco industry, Philip Morris, BAT, ZTI, and the industry display and introduce their new tobacco product to participants in this workshop, as well as make the speech with the recommendation to the government to develop the technical standard for the new tobacco product, and stated that the industry is ready in order to collaborate with the government in this technical standard development. And the workshop was organized in August 2019. But interestingly is that in December of 2020, the issuance of the 3 national standards on heat not burn tobacco products made by the Ministry of Technology is issued. So the promulgation of this product was made given in the context that the new tobacco products, including e-cigarette and heat not burn tobacco products, are not yet allowed to produce, import, or distribute in Vietnam. And you can see also from this slide, that is the second photos. That is the workshop organized by the Vietnam Standard and Consumer Association, titled Prevention Tobacco Smuggling. However, in this workshop, the representative of Philip Morris made a speech of which proposed the government to develop the policy to manage the new tobacco product, including heat not burn tobacco product in Vietnam. Vietnam has no specific regulation to limit interaction with the tobacco industry yet. Then through the meeting with the high level of the government official, attending the tobacco control activity is seen as a way to help fostering the relationship with the government body and official. So these are few of the meetings made by the industry with high-rank officers. So you can see again in the second photos of this slide, that is the meeting of the representative of Pinakata Philip Morris and the standard body on new tobacco product. And also in this meeting, the representative of Philip Morris proposed to work with the standard body in order to provide information for developing the national standard and heat not burn tobacco product. And this meeting was conducted before also as well as when the 3 national standards on HTP heat not burn tobacco products issued in December 2020. So another area that tobacco industry also conducted with some academic and research institutions in Vietnam for providing the fund for conducting the research. And of course, the further evidence documented through the funding of the industry also was used for disseminate to policymakers and also public in media. And one of the other issues in Vietnam is the media coverage. We found a series of articles which pro-industry published in different newspapers, and especially some newspapers found to publish repeatedly the same pro-industry article. And the coverage is quite high, especially when the government plans to develop any policies on tobacco control. Providing funds for the study tour for the government officer was also recorded through the media surveillance. It is the way to maintain the relationship with policymakers. And the photos here is an article published in 2018. And in this article, they reported about the funding of some study tour for government officials. And in this article is a well-known economic expert. We also expect his point of view that the industry should expect to gain a kind of compensation from participant or from the participant agency, such as the contract or the project, etc. And of course, we know that no means for free. So the fund group expert in economic and health and legislation areas also used to speak the voice of the industry as well. So this is an example of the 3 organizations. They sent the letter to the Prime Minister in order to provide the argument and recommendation to allow management of this product in Vietnam. Why, as I mentioned before, that we from Vietnam here, these products are not allowed to produce, import, or distribute yet. Also, the media interviews with the economic, health, and legislation experts, providing the argument to request the policy to support the sale of this product as well. And industry provides a pro-industry policy recommendation to policymakers through sending the letter, workshop, and the meeting. And the first photo here is the government letter sent to the in-charge ministry in June 2019, in which mentioned the recommendation from Philip Morris on the need of develop the legislation framework for the new tobacco product, which include the heat-not-burn tobacco product. And the second photo is the events of the 30th anniversaries of Vietnam Tobacco Association establishment, and the event has the participation of the Deputy Minister of the Industry and Trade and the Vietnam Tobacco Association also proposed not to apply excise tax in the form of mixed tax rate yet or cancel the tobacco control funds. So promoting the industry brand through the so-called corporate social responsibility activity to position themselves as a part of the solution to social and health problems. Industry sponsor in multi-areas such as charitable living condition improvement for the poor and poverty reduction, education and health. And recently, they donate to fight against COVID pandemic in Vietnam. And you can see these two pictures are the picture that of the tobacco industry. They gave the funding, they donate to Bạch Hospital and also to fight the government of Vietnam. To fund for the government of Vietnam to fight against COVID situation. So what we do in terms when after we conduct the tobacco industry monitoring, as Vic already mentioned in his presentation, we cannot do our loans. We need to cooperate with other organizations and also alliance in the country and partner with them in order to conduct the exposing and countering. So when we found the information and document the information, so we shared the findings of that to our tobacco control working group and also the relevant government agency through different channels such as email, Viber, or online meeting, and even the offline technical meeting when we need. And besides, we also develop the materials such as the monthly tobacco industry monitoring newsletter, and we send to the group end of each month. So in order to counter and detect the tactic and interference, we formed the core tobacco industry monitoring group, including the representative from the government in charge of tobacco control, WHO office, and other alliance and group, and also other tobacco advocates as well. And whenever we found the tactic and interference, we send the notification to the core group and also discuss with the group in order to decide if the issue needs to be countered or not. If need to be countered, how we will counter and how the countering action will be made. We should be made it like in the rapid response or non-rapid response, and also who will be involved in the countering. And in case we found the rapid response is needed, the action could be taken such as immediate reflect to the related government agency for reporting and calling for the action. So we can send the letter or arrange the meeting with the government officer or engage media for sharing and raising the issues. So we will send the press release or conduct the press conference or media interview or social media campaign. So in terms of for the long-term activity, so our work will include to carry out further investigation research, like Vic already shares with you in his presentation, that sometimes we found the information, but further investigation need to be done in order to find out more clear information and also to concise the information. And also we can also develop a case study for interference and tactics to share the relevant government agency and develop the advocacy material. And also to develop the public or communication media campaign. So this is just the two examples that we have been done so far. This is the letter from the NCDVN. So NCDVN is the Non-Communicable Disease Alliance organization in Vietnam. So it including more than around 10 organizations and a good numbers of the health proof advocates. So in this one, we send to the government authority in order to warn about the BAT's sponsorship, and this is quite a long time ago in 2016. We can also do the press release to media in order to expose the argument on tobacco tax, and this is the press release we did in 2007. And this is from the workshop with the media or workshop with the government agency. Even that we can we will provide the workshop with the community party or with the high level organization in order to provide the information. And also we provide the article on interference in the newspaper as well. So to conclude and recommend, so we found the interference in tobacco industry has been conducted through different channels in Vietnam, and monitoring the tobacco industry tactics and interference is important for preparing the countering argument and exposing the interference to the public and also to the policy maker. And strong media campaign and response can have with this exposing and countering, and strongly and timely collaboration among the tobacco control network with the in-charge government agency are the key to the action. And we also found that the networking and sharing with the regional organizations such as SEPCA and also other working on tobacco industry monitoring is very valuable for the country team when we prepare the documentation and also to expose the information and also to learn the experience from other countries as well for ODEC into Vietnam when we conduct the capturing action. So this is my last slide. I just want to say that to better we can. So by collaborating with other organizations and partnering with other organizations, we can do. And the organization here is not just only in the countries, but also from the region and also the international perspective. So thank you for listening. Yes, over to you now.
Thank you so much, too, for this very great, very informative presentation. What I would like to reflect is, although we have the tobacco industry monitoring system at the regional level, and SEPCA is one to create the system and to decide what kind of monitor item that we should focus or what kind of mechanism that the country partner should use. But actually, this monitoring system can be adjusted based on the country situation. And when you have the monitoring mechanism, and that will help you to systematically adjust and also gather the information that you can rely on that whenever that you want, and will also help your tobacco control work and advocacy activity to be more effective, because you can refer to that information, and whenever the policymakers or whoever ask the information from you, like the backup sources, you can also immediately, quickly provide to them. That will also enhance the effectiveness and the accountability of your work at the country level. Now, I will open the floor for the question from the attendees to our resource person. I got one question that I think the attendee aimed to ask both of you. So I will ask this question to both of you. How is the advocacy work there, I think, in your country? And what are the main challenges that you face? Big, maybe, can you give the answer first?
Can you repeat the first question, Nok?
Sure. How is the advocacy work there? I think that will be related to the advocacy that you do based on the monitor activity.
All right. So it is a good question, actually. I mentioned before in my presentations that sometimes the result is not as you expected. Not sometimes, most of the time, because, you know, we can try, especially when, you know, like we know the information and we know how to control the industry. But sometimes, even though we have a lot of the tobacco control network in Indonesia, But the main problem, the foundations in Indonesia is because the government still consider the tobacco industry as a normal industry like others. So that's the main problem. So they perceive the industry as normal. So it's quite difficult for us to telling them not. For example, they have invitation letter from the industry. It's quite hard for us to telling them not to attend, because there is no law or regulations that banning them to come to, tobacco industry invitations. And also there is no law that prohibit them to invite tobacco industry to talk about the policy. And remember, Indonesia is not a party to FCTC. And we're not following the FCTC article 5.3 on tobacco industry interference. That's the challenge. But as I can as explained before, to some extent we can do something. For example, you can approach someone that might be know you better in person. That's why the teamwork is important. You share the information to your network. Maybe in the network, someone will know something about the person, or maybe he know directly about the person. So he or she can approach the persons, and finally he or she can cancel the meeting with the or the invitations, reject the invitation, something like that. We can do that kind of a groundwork. But unfortunately, in Indonesia, we don't have the law and the regulation that banning the industry involved in kind of a policy, or maybe the government official to attend tobacco industry invitations. That's the challenge now.
Okay, thank you so much, Big. Tu, do you have anything to share based on the situation in Vietnam?
Yes, thanks, Nok and Big. I think that for Vietnam, we quite a little bit different from with the Indonesia, because Vietnam we already is the parties who framework convention on tobaccos in 2003. And many of the policy recommendations from the WHO, SCTC was localized into our law, and also the national policy, and also the even lower than the national policy. So I think that is the advantages. But I mean, in terms of the implementing or localizing the Article 5.3 into the national policy is not almost yet. So within and also in Vietnam, tobacco industry is the state-owned company. So as also like Big said, for us, state-owned company is, so that's why it belongs to the government. So this is also creates the difficulties in terms of how we interact and also to counter with the industry interference and also critics in Vietnam as well. And in terms of the policy, in the meaning of the policy, like not mentioned in the tobacco industry, monitoring and exposing. So advocacy here from me, I understand that we try to find the information related to the industry tactic and also the interference, and to provide the correct information to the government agency, so they have the information related on that. And of course, even that we don't have localized the Article 5.3 into the local, the local laws, yes. But I think that with providing the information and to the government, they also have the sense in order to think about that, and also in some certain extent that they can solve the issue. But like we already mentioned, not everything that can be solved with our proposal or with our information providing to the government. But for some, for some cases that we can do that, and also the government also appreciates that information. So I think in this case is that. So yeah, I think that for 7 cases that we expose and we counter and we send the information to the government, so we have the good collaboration, and also so government take action in order to solve the issue. So I think that this is also the good signal for Vietnam as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much too. And yeah, I understand that in Indonesia and in Vietnam, you are facing quite a big challenge in terms of the industry interference, and that is why you need to work hard to gather the information and also try to frame the advocacy campaign or the activity to approach the policymakers, especially when the policymakers see the industry as the normal business things. I also have another question to both of you. May I ask, like, as part of the team network, what should you recommend, or what should you tell the team, the tobacco industry monitoring staff, to be aware while they are monitoring tobacco industry? If you can tell your junior staff or any attendee who from today would like to set up the monitoring system in their organization or with their partner, what that they should be aware of. Either of you can start first, maybe two.
Yes.
So you may start first, ladies first.
Oh, thank you, Vic. So I think that honestly, I was so involved in the tobacco industry monitoring for years, at least I think for 7 or 8 years. I think that for me. So I think importantly is that besides the sources, official sources that we have just present, like from the media surveillance, from Google search, from the website of the tobacco industry, and also the government agency related to the industry, from the funds group, etc. So I think that that is all of that is information there. That is like the floating ice. But we know many activities under the floating ice cannot be discovered, and I think that that is bigger than the floating ice, right? So I really think that intelligent hearing is also very important, because when we working with our partners, we have the information and we can use that information for our for our recording as well. That is the first thing. And also, I mean, the networking is also important, because we cannot do everything in collecting, even that in collecting the information. If we have like the core group, we have a network, so we can collaborate together. So in case that this organization, you cannot check all of the things, so other organizations can have the supplement information for use. So that is, I think that is my second suggestion. And also, I mean that in terms of the networking as well, the connection with the regional organization and also the international organization focal points on the tobacco industry monitoring is really important, because not because maybe the tactic and the interference of the industry haven't been conducted in the country, yes, but they already conducted in other countries. So through the network, you foreseen that you have the information on that already tactics from other countries, and you can foresee and to prepare the countering action before it can be happen in the country. So I think that is really important, and also to learn the experience from other countries as well when they do monitoring, and also how they can react, how they can expose the information or countering information in their country, and how the effective it is in their country. Of course, not the everything been fixed in one situation, or the experience from other country can apply in the country. But basically, we have the information about that, and we know and we foresee that, and we can well prepare for the country. So that is, I think that is my experience so far. So Vic, you can share more.
Yeah, Vic, do you have anything to add? Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more what Tu has been said. I mean, like that's all, you know, like the things that you need to consider when you do your monitoring. But I think the most important, the most important thing that you need to, you know, have on your own is think of your safety. you know how easy to get the information in the internet. That is also could affect to you. So just be aware when you share the information about yourself and your work, and don't share sensitive and important information so you can easily be tracked. So that's the most important, because this is like digital world, and also you're doing some background work, and you don't want someone tracking you, know what you do and also your work, something like that. So the first is think of your safety. That's most important. Second, I think the most important also, be resilient. Especially when you dig the information. Sometimes very tiring, Googling, searching information on other website. And as I said, you must be not satisfied with what you see in the surface. So you dig the information deeper and deeper. Especially, for example, when we want to see the profile of the persons, you can go to LinkedIn. Usually you can find the information there, but you need to have your own account on LinkedIn, and also maybe the website of the front groups, and also the websites of the industry. The report that not been said, the annual reports, it's I think 100 pages. So kind of you need to be more resilient when you dig the information. And the last and also important, being the person to monitor the industry, it doesn't mean you also become the spokespersons to counter the industry in the media. So you can be the person behind the screen, and feed the information to your network, and let the other do their job. So again, this is kind of teamwork. So that's why teamwork and also relationship to your colleagues and your network is also important. So you are kind of the intelligent persons that feed the information, and others can do their job. So you need to have a good relationship with others to provide you information, and also to send them the information. And that's the thing that happened to me. Some of our colleagues sometimes asking about the prawn groups to me, and I do my digging the information and provide them the information about this third party. And that's quite tricky, because sometimes the third party using the public health term, something like that, and your colleagues might not aware about that kind of dangerous information that provide to the TC advocates. Thank you very much. That's I think not from me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Big and Tu. Yes, I agree with the answer from both of you, and thank you so much. I think the attendee who plan to do or to strengthen the monitoring mechanism within the organization with the partner will take this answer to and then think about that when they want to strengthen their monitoring system. This is the last question, actually, because both of you are quite familiar. You are familiar to work with the information, and both of you have the research experience. May I ask that this is the question from me myself, because I got this question from some of the young people that they are my students as well, and also some junior tobacco control advocates, that they asked me, what will you suggest if the information you get is contradictory? Like the information from the community member is one thing, and when you read from the news is another thing, but they talk about the same issue. Do you have any suggestion, or do you have any explanation for this? I think this will also happen when you get the information from your from your personal connection, like internal intel. Yeah. Do you have any faced this experience before, and how you solve this problem? Big,
yeah,
okay. Go first.
Yeah, sure. Actually, this is related to what I mentioned earlier in my presentation about online sources. Usually it's happening from the online sources. So you need to do a double check when you get the information from the online sources. Actually, because there are a lot of misinformation these days, as you know, so just be careful. I give you the example. For example, a couple months ago, I received a news in the media from our Siatkas colleagues in Indonesia about 2020 tax income target from the government. And the media wrote the news about the income from tobacco tax has exceeded the government target, even though we are hit by the COVID-19. So that's the headline from the media. But the question is, in the target from 2020 written in the media is different from what we got in early 2020 from the Fiscal Policy Office from Ministry of Finance. So we decided to contact our colleague at the Ministry of Finance and ask for clarifications. And later, we learned that actually the government amend or revise the excise target income for 2020. Actually, they are lowering the target. So the news or the data is in the media is valid. The point is, when you have doubt to the information or to the data, go to the main sources, to the person in the institution that published the data, so you can get the valid data or the information. This point you can do when you have relationship with the person. So keeping your good relationship with others is important. That's maybe my experience now.
Thank you so much, Big. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Big have just said, because we have to double check information. That is the need the most, that when we have the contradiction information from different sources. And I think that where we can take the concise information or right information is depending on how the information is. That is the scientific information, or that is just information related to other function of the industry or etc. So it really depends on the natures of the contradict information that you need to check. So, but for me, because I'm a researcher, so that's why whenever that I need to find any information, I will check with the reliable sources from the academic institution and well-known institution, research institution. In this case, it really related to the function or operation of the activity of the industry activity, etc. We can double check with the government office and government agency, the one that have the reliable voice on the issues. So that is what I usually do when checking the information. And sometimes it's not double check, but sometimes it's triple check, and sometimes it's multiple check. It is not, yeah. So I mean that we have to check maybe one information from several sources as well. So that is my experience so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you so much to and Big for this useful suggestion and explanation. Yeah, what I would like to say is when we say that we want to do the monitoring, there are many things in detail, and as part of the monitoring network, what I can say is you need to practice it by yourself and also work with the team to double check the information, and also how to frame the how to frame the advocacy or the campaign to counter the industry based on the monitoring item you have. All right, I think we now reach the end of our symposium. Thank you so much, our resource person, for the fruitful presentation and a very clear answer and explanation. But before we go to the online quiz, may I ask Big and Tu to leave the last message to the attendee who would like to work on the team network in their organization? Do you have anything to say as a last sentence?
I think that in order to prevent the interference from the industry, so there's a must for us to know about their action and their tactics and interference. So in order to do that, of course, tobacco industry monitoring is needed. So I encourage for the country that you haven't do so, so start to do so. And from that, you will know how about the tactics, how about the interference of the industry made, so you can prepare and provide the support to the government, to expose or countering the action. So for you to have the better policy or the better implementation of the policies on tobacco control. Yes, that is my recommendation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much too. Big, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think the most important when you want to do a monitoring about tobacco industry, you become a support system. You are the supporters of others. So that's the most important, because you need to be there when others need you to like deliver information. So give a good response, fast response when others asking you about the information, and I think that's you need to know when you decide to do your monitoring. So you are supporting others to do their job, and let the others doing their job, and you can feed them the information, and you can receive the information also from others. So you can gathering all the information to support your tobacco control activity in the country.
Okay, right. Thank you so much, Big and Tu, and thank you very much, everyone. We will end this symposium with the online quiz containing 10 easy questions in Kahoot. Let me share the screen. You don't need to download Kahoot application. You can just use your mobile phone. Go to www.kahoot.it, or if you already have the application in your phone, you can go to Kahoot application and put this pin 7938370 to check this question will help you to check your understanding on the team network. All right.
So I think we need to wait. Yeah, I think we need to wait.
Okay, we wait a little bit more.
Yeah. To type, give time for others to type the address.
Yeah, when you go to this website and put the pin, the system will ask you to put your name. You don't need to put your real name. You can just put your nickname or whatever name that you want to put. Are there anybody join us actually? Okay, right, all right. Okay, we will wait a little bit more. Maybe we have some more participants.
So what is the present for the champion? The winner. Is there any?
That is a good question, Big. I think the 3 winners can send their email address to the APACT organizer. Then the organizer will pass the email address to us. Then we can make the decision. Yeah.
I also try here, but I cannot start.
No, we cannot start yet. I will click start. Okay, maybe we wait a little bit, like 2 more people, 2 more participants. Then we can start the game.
Yes.
Okay, Paulina. Okay, 1 more. Then we start. Okay. 2 of you are part of these 9 people? No, right?
Yes.
All right, never mind. I will start again now.
Yes, that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much everyone to participate in this symposium and also join our online quiz with us. And if you have any further question that you would like to ask us, or if you want to consult with us how to do the monitoring in your country, in your organization, please do not hesitate to contact us. You will see our email address through the presentation, or you can also contact the APACT organizer to get our contact information. So thank you very much, everyone, and good evening ahead.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.